Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of Kast, and today we're going to be talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I've been playing this title since last Thursday. PlayStation sent it to me early so that I could give it a look, tell you guys my opinions on it, and currently there's still an embargo on long gameplay videos, which is why I'm doing this with you guys, just talking about the game, because they're really trying to keep spoilers from reaching the overall audience, and I have to agree that's pretty important. And when I'm talking about spoilers, I'm not just talking about the story. I'm talking even just spoilers about how you actually hunt the different machines. I kind of think that those are pretty damn important in my personal opinion, having played the game already for a good chunk. I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, I also want to, I want to talk about it. I want to tell you guys about my impressions because the embargo on opinions and all that lifted up today. So I figured I'd give you guys a conscast since I can't show you long format gameplay. I will show you guys bits and pieces of gameplay here and there, maybe even some trailer footage or whatever. But mostly we're going to be talking about it, and I'm going to be telling you guys how I feel about Horizon Zero Dawn up until this point. Now, last time I checked, game told me I was about at 40% completion rate. So that is kind of like where I am in the game right now. If you want to like situate yourselves and like, just to put everything into context, basically. So let's get started, shall we? Now, I can't start this without bringing up the visuals because, you guys have seen some of the gameplay that they have released throughout the, since the announcements and whatnot. And you guys are probably wondering, so are the visuals as good as they're showing us in the trailers? And all I can really tell you is yes. The game looks and feels and plays amazing, in my personal opinion. Now, I've been playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro. I've been playing with 4K, HDR, all that stuff. Now, I've been told that the current resolution of the game isn't actually 4K. I don't know if this is true or not, but because, the thing about 4K is that I can tell that it's definitely more than 1080p. But, I haven't played enough 4K games to be like, oh, yeah, that's totally 4K, because you can have, like, upscaling from, say, 1440p or whatever, and it looks much better than 1080p, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know what the exact native resolution of the game is right now, but it looks damn good. But more importantly than the resolution, and I know I keep bringing this up to you guys, is like the HDR, because God, just the sheer number of colors, the variation of color that you can see when HDR is on is just like mind blowing. I've played it without HDR and with HDR. Even without HDR, the game looks great. But if you have HDR, god damn, this is one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 4 right now, just like straight up. So when it comes to visuals, like if you're the kind of guy that likes really cool visuals, like I can tell you right now, hands down, Horizon Zero Dawn is going to deliver. I have no doubt whatsoever in that department. Animations also looking super solid because you guys know that I'm more about animations than necessarily amazing visual fidelity or whatever. I like good graphics as much as the other guy, but to me, it's all in the animations. And when it comes to animations, the game is also looking pretty damn good. There's only one animation and it's kind of probably a minor thing that affects me more than most people, but there was an animation that I didn't like that much, and it was a very specific thing, which is when you draw your bow, your character, she aims the bow, whatever, you can hold it for a while, and then you can release, and that animation, flawless. But say, for instance, you want to rapid fire a couple of arrows onto a machine. When you're crouching down and you start rapid firing, I don't know, that animation seemed weird because your character's like just kind of pumping out arrows. But I don't play with early on in the game, I didn't play with bows all that much. I was mostly doing stealth stuff. Later down the line, you kind of have to use bows and other ranged weapons. You can't just go through the whole game as melee unless you're playing on easy difficulty. You're actually going to have to, utilize all these other weapons. And I'm already kind of rambling a little bit. I was talking about visuals and animation, then I started talking about all this other stuff. But I'm trying to keep it to a certain number of topics here. So, next thing. Visuals, animation, awesome apart from that minor little thing that I said about the spamming bow shots or whatever, which you're not going to be doing all that much anyways because it's not particularly efficient to spam bow shots. So maybe that's why they didn't look into that much. But next up, story. Story up until the moment that I've played it so far has kept me pretty engaged. I don't know how much of it they've released through trailers because I've been staying away from media because like nowadays whenever I see a trailer sometimes I feel like I got spoiled out of something, so I try to steer clear of that as much as possible. So I don't know how much of the story they revealed up until this point, so I'm not going to touch too much on it, but all I can tell you is that what I've played so far, the game has a really good start in my personal opinion because maybe it starts in a way that not everybody expects, which is really cool. And after that start, it kind of sets the tone for what happens throughout the game. And setting that tone, then there's just like a series of very important events that take place very early on in the game that kind of lead your character on the path that she is going. And so far, I've enjoyed those greatly. There have been a couple of characters that have marked me more than others, which were actually just, I would say, like probably, I think two characters really left an impression on me up until this point into the game. The other characters, I guess more than two characters. It's kind of weird talking about this since I can't really go into spoiler territory. Let's say like four characters really left like a good impression on me up until the point that I am in the game. Other characters have been kind of like, whatever. But the story itself has been keeping me engaged throughout. So I think people are going to enjoy the story. There will be portions of the story that you guys are going to think, I can see that this thing is going to turn out like this. And you guys will probably be right because there were a couple of portions of the story that I was able to kind of predict. But even with that, there is still a lot of stuff that surprised me in the way that they've handled it. There are also some things that I predicted and it was just like, oh crap, totally different outcome there. What the hell happened? So the story is definitely keeping me engaged. But what's really, really been keeping me engaged is hunting down machines. So how do I describe this? Hunting down machines is almost like every Monster Hunter fan's dream, almost. I mean, it's not exactly every Monster Hunter fan's dream because, like, you know how in Monster Hunter you have, your different weapons and you specialize in each of the weapons. Then you go into your hunt and you take that weapon with you. In this game, it's not like that. You have a selection of different weapons, but the idea is using those different weapons in a way where where you kind of like you use them in different ways to hunt different machines. And the hunting of the machines is definitely my favorite aspect in the whole game. I just love looking for new machines that I can take down and destroy. Like whenever there's a new machine that I run across that I've never seen before, even if that machine is not directly threatening me or if there's no objective or whatever, I just see a big machine and I'm like, I need to kill it. I need to take it down. I need to figure out how it works. As a matter of fact, I've taken out that big machine that you guys have seen in the gameplay trailer, the one that looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever, kind of, I guess. I've taken it down. I don't think I was supposed to take it down when I did. I think they just wanted me to like look at it from a distance as I was going by, but I was like, no, screw that. The machine is right there. I'm going for it. And I noticed that it's like I was clearly under leveled because the machine was just like straight up one-shotting me and it had all of these different weapons that could take me out like instantly. And clearly I wasn't supposed to be doing that. And I was like, nah, let me explain what's going to happen here. So I just laid like ridiculous amounts of traps. Like I'm talking completely batshit insane. A regular person should probably not be doing that. And then I was like, hey, yo, come here, bro. And explosions and just like everything blowing off, parts of the machine coming out. And like, let's just say I spent a tremendous amount of my resources, but I brought that sucker down and it felt good. I'm not even saying, I don't even think I was able to use any of the loot he dropped, but I was like, I'm taking this machine down. And that, to me, is really, really what I'm loving about the game. It's like, sure, story has been great so far, like I said. The side activities, they're pretty fun, even though I can already see that a lot of people are going to see some of these side activities and be like, oh, man, kind of feels like there's a little bit of repetition in there, and there is some repetition. There's also repetition in hunting down machines if you want to hunt them as often as I do, because you have to hunt for the different components, because there's this whole crafting system to this game where you have to craft the ammunition for each of the weapons that you have, and different weapons require different ammunition, and that requires you to hunt different machines so that you can scrounge up those parts and then you can make into, different things. Like, for instance, you have an arrow that I have, which when attached, it throws like this, I don't even know exactly what to call it. It's like this pulse that it does. It's an arrow that I shoot, and then it goes like, and then there's just like this shockwave that comes out of the arrow, and that shockwave can knock machine parts out of the machines. So that arrow, when I first got access to it, it was like super hard for me to craft it. So whenever you go into a hunt, you have to take that kind of stuff into consideration. It's like, do I really want to use my super powerful arrows on this one machine? Is it really going to worth my while? Like I said, when I was hunting the big machine, the big Tyrannosaurus looking dude, it's like I spent an unreasonable amount of resources because I wasn't supposed to be fighting it at that point. And I was like, no, I'm going to make more traps and more traps and more traps and more traps. I'm going to blow you up. I don't give a damn. And eventually I did destroy it, but obviously I lost a lot of more resources than I should have if I was properly equipped to deal with it. But I also like the fact that you have that kind of freedom. It's like, what, you want to spend a ridiculous amount of resources taking on this giant ash machine that you probably really shouldn't be fighting? Sure, go ahead. It's up to you. So I like the fact that you have that kind of freedom. And this game really tickles that Monster Hunter itch that I get. You guys know that I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. So the kind of stuff that you do in this game when you're hunting machines, a lot of the mechanics remind me of stuff like Monster Hunter. Now, you can optimize to the nth degree when it comes to this stuff. You can have different sets of armors and stuff. Although they don't work like armors in Monster Hunter. You just buy a full set of armor straight up. And usually it costs money and a specific part that you will have to hunt from a machine. And different outfits will give you different benefits. So certain outfits are good against elemental damage. Other outfits are good against physical damage. Other outfits are better for stuff like stealth. And you can min-max if you want to. You can have all these different outfits. Personally, the way that I tackle every mission is I go as stealthy as possible. So like I will do a lot of hit and run guerrilla tactics on these machines. Like I'll go in, take a couple of swings at them, put a couple of traps, and I'll run away and hide. And then I'll come back and like when they're least expecting, boom, get them again. Just like I do a lot of that, which is one of the play styles that you can do. But there are other play styles. There's N amount. I'm not sure if that expression is utilized in English actually, but there's X amount of strategies that you can do. And different things in order to take out different machines, depending on the weapons that you have, depending on the skills that you've invested in, because you also have a skill tree that lets you pick different things. Like you can focus more on foraging aspects so that you can get more materials from stuff. You can focus more on breaking parts off the machines with melee attacks. So you can focus a lot on doing more melee, which is actually what I've done. I've done like stealth and melee, kind of like this mix, almost like a big boss type of gameplay. And then I just bought the suit that would give me the most protection with the most stealth possible. And I just kind of do the hit and run thing, which is pretty effective. But a lot of times, like I will go into situations where I will just get overwhelmed because I don't have a lot of protection, basically, because I'm just constantly trying to do the hit and run thing. And a lot of times machines can catch up to you. Like they're really fast and they will do these crazy moving attacks and stuff, and they will grab you. And yeah, if you get caught playing the way that I've been playing, you're pretty much almost one shot a lot of times. But having said that, hunting machines is definitely, in my opinion, the highlight of this game. I just adore it. Just like I keep going into different areas that maybe I'm supposed to be in there, maybe I'm not. Let's just say I'm not necessarily following the main quest line. I'm more like I'm doing all of these side quests that I find, because side quests take you throughout different areas of the world. And instead of fast traveling as much as I can, what I tend to do is I just kind of either walk there or I override one machine so that I can ride it and go to a certain location. And then as I'm riding it, I'll find other machines along the way. And then I'll be like, okay, I want to tackle one of those and see how that works. And again, the different weapons that they give you, they allow you to do a lot of different stuff. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the gameplay video and whatnot. So let me just tell you a couple of examples of what weapons can do. So you have a weapon, for instance, which is, I think it's called the rope caster. I'm not exactly sure on all these names, but you can kind of like, you shoot a rope, and what your character does is it tries to anchor a machine down. And you can, if you shoot multiple ropes at it, eventually the machine will topple over, and you can go over there, do a critical hit, or you can topple it over and you can keep it, like, depending on how powerful the machine is, because some machines you can just go in there, critical hit, kill them. Other machines, if you go in there and you critical hit them, they'll stand back up and they will be like still more than half HP. So that's kind of a problem for you, because then you're next to the machine and the machine's going to attack you. So you can like rope them down, hold them down for a little bit, and then you can set up a proper trap, or you can set up a trap before you even aggro the machine and then get the machine to go through your trap. But like, setting up traps is something that's really cool. There's a wide variety of traps that you can lay down. There's the tripwires with shocks, tripwires with explosions, tripwires with flames. I don't know. I haven't even had access to all of the weapons. I haven't used all of the weapons that I even have access to. There's a slingshot, which kind of works like a grenade launcher, where you can toss out all kinds of different elemental effects. And the cool thing is, different machines will always have different weak points and different things that they will do to you. So you have to study each machine as you take it on, because like, there are different movesets and strategies and how you can tackle them. Like, they vary wildly, which is really cool. Because so like, for instance, earlier today I was playing, and I ran into this group of stalkers. Again, I don't want to talk too much about specifics on machines. I'm going to give you a little bit on the stalkers here, and you guys can figure out the rest for the other machines. So I was trying to beat this zone, which is like a corrupted zone, which is a specific mechanic in game where there are these really powerful machines in there. And in this case, there were like 3 stalkers on there. And I'm playing on hard difficulty. There's 4 difficulty levels: easy, normal, hard, and very hard. I'm playing on hard, which provides a decent enough challenge while still allowing me to progress at a good pace, because I do want to kind of finish the game, because there's tons of games coming out early this year. But like, I have to tell you guys, if you're like a hardcore Monster Hunter player, if you're the kind of player that really likes, you know, a challenge, I really think you should try playing on very hard. I want to play on very hard. It's just, I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to finish the game, because I still want to put out a review. But I really advise people, don't just play on normal. Take it at least one step above, because it makes the hunt so much more satisfying, you know? Kind of feel that normal might actually be a little bit too easy, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Playing on hard feels like the perfect balance for me, but I would still like to tackle the very hard mode, because it's just that satisfying when you're taking down machines. But like, as I was saying, I was talking about those stalkers. So here's a really cool mechanic. These stalkers is a machine that becomes invisible. So you can kind of see the reflections and stuff on it. You know, the kind of invisibility cloak stuff that you can see whenever something is cloaked, right? You can see the transparency. You can kind of see the mob moving around, but you can't see the information on it until it reveals itself. So you can't see like its weak points and all this other stuff until it reveals. So you have to actually go there, hit it, shoot it with fire or something, so that you can then kind of analyze it with this thing that the main character has, which is a focus that allows you to see, okay, here's the weak spot. It's vulnerable to this. It's vulnerable to that. And so these stalkers are giving me a hard time, because I kept getting overrun. And so eventually what I figured out is that one of the parts in the stalkers is the cloak stealth generator, right? So I pick up that arrow I told you guys about earlier, which is the force blast arrow, and I was targeting specifically the stealth generator on these stalkers. So I would hide in the grass, because my character's really good at stealth, so I could kind of like take a couple of shots before they can detect me. So I would hide in the grass very patiently. I would bide my time. Then I would aim an arrow, shoot it straight at the stealth generator. Then the arrow would go, and when the thing popped, the stealth generator would come out, and the machine would not be able to enter stealth anymore. So then I could see them every time, and I could engage on my hit and run guerrilla tactics and kind of like go in there, get some critical strikes, lay a couple of traps down for when they're moving and stuff. And that's how I tackled that situation. But it's, you know, that's one situation among God knows how many other scenarios the game even has. And it's satisfying figuring that stuff out, you know. So I'm not gonna tell you guys any more of the other crazy shit that I've done. And I will tell you, I've done plenty of really crazy shit in this game when it comes to hunting. And let me just, it is super satisfying in my personal opinion. And like I said, you can specialize in melee, stealth. You can specialize in actually using your bow and shooting like 3 arrows at the same time. There are different kinds of bows too, so that's something very important. A lot of you guys might think, yes, you got the bow, you got the slingshot. No. There's like different types. And different types in here is not just like, oh, this bow deals this much more damage. No. Completely different types, as in this bow is good for close combat because it has these types of arrows, whereas this bow is more like a sniper's bow and it's got these types of arrows that do these different things. And it's like you might be thinking, no, don't you just rely on like 2 weapons? No, as a matter of fact, you can only have 4 weapons equipped at any time. I mean, you can go into your inventory and manually switch between them. But like, you know, for easy access, you have access to 4 weapons, and I want 5 because now I have the sling thing, and I still want to have my 2 bows and the rope caster and the trip caster. And you guys might think, oh, that sounds like such a hassle. It is not a hassle because once you start getting into the mechanics of the hunts and stuff, it is so satisfying because you can just go like, okay, for this mob, I'm going to shock it. And once it's shocked, I'm going to go in there. Then I'm going to critical hit. And then once I critical hit, I'm going to run to those bushes where I set this tripwire trap so that once they come looking for me there, they're going to get shocked again. You know, you can do all of these different strategies and it's just so good. I just love doing that kind of stuff. And I could go on and on for hours talking about this stuff, but I kind of feel like I should move on. Now, you don't just fight machines. You're also going to be fighting humanoids. I will let the story tell you guys why you're fighting humanoids and what happens within the story that leads you to that. I'm not going to spoil that for you guys, but you will be fighting humanoids, and it's not a big spoiler because as soon as you open the game and you go to your skill tree, you will see that there are specific skills to kill humanoids, which is kind of important. But anyway, since you're hunting humanoids, the game does do some things with its open world that you have seen before in other video games. You know, stuff like this area over here, there's a camp. It felt exactly like Far Cry. You go into the camp, you scan around, you see all the humans, you kill all the people in the camp. There's even an alarm in there as well. So like, you can disable the alarm, and if you don't, they will trigger the alarm, which will alert everybody to your presence and stuff. You have that. I don't know if you get additional. I don't think you get additional stuff for doing a camp full stealth because I think I've done camps in full stealth and I still got the same rewards. So there's not necessarily a benefit for doing camps full stealth. I still kind of do it because I just like sneaking around, stabbing people and stuff. But yeah, the camps is, I would say, one of the least original things when it comes to Horizon Zero Dawn. You just kind of, but it's one way. You know, it's one of those things that I think a lot of people enjoyed killing camps in games like Far Cry and stuff like that. So I guess that's why they did them. Personally, I'm a little bit indifferent to them. I go to a camp and it's just like, well, I guess it's some variety so that I'm not always killing machines. I'll just go into this camp, kill a bunch of humans, satisfy my bloodlust. And again, the camps, you also have multiple ways of doing them. You can do them stealth. You can do them from far with a sniper's bow. You can do them close up with a regular bow. You can even bomb a whole camp with tripwires and shit and place traps all over the place and just blast everybody. Certain camps will also have stuff like volatile stuff that you can detonate with flame arrows. Even some enemies will have like, fuel stuff on their back that you can detonate that. And that's also cool because there's also machines that have that. So again, you see, there are these mechanics in this game that make it really special. So let me tell you about another thing. There are some machines that have like fuel canisters on their backs, right? So you can shoot the fuel canister and that thing will just do a massive explosion, can set other machines on fire. If you're too close, you're going to get set on fire. But, you know, it's strategies. It's ways in which you can tackle things. You can go in there, you can stealth in, you can kill stuff, or you can use all of these explosive devices. There's also shocking elemental, which will stun machines. There is impact damage, which a lot of the stuff is vulnerable to impact damage. You can knock off certain machine parts with impact damage. There is fire damage, which you can set stuff ablaze. There is, did I say freeze? I think I said freeze. You can actually freeze machines and freeze people as well. What else? freeze, fire, shock, impact, tons of stuff. Just tons of stuff. It's too much for me to even get into. So the combat variety feels nice. I like the combat overall. But like I said, particularly I like hunting machines. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys figured out, but I really love hunting machines. Like I said, you also have a skill tree that allows you to specialize in different things. There is a crafting system to craft like your ammunition, stuff like that, as well as the different traps and consumables like potions. You also have potions that will increase your resistance to shock, increase your resistance to fire, increase your resistance to physical damage, potions which temporarily increase your maximum health. So you have all that stuff as well. One thing that is really cool and that I haven't given it enough credit is the world that they've created. So for starters, it's a really original setting, right? It's the post-apocalyptic world or whatever it is. And the really original setting is because you have these crazy ass high-tech machines roaming through the world. And I still don't even know the reason why they're there. But they, throughout, as you go through the world, you will see like glimpses of what the world looked like in the past through these things called vantage points. So you can get some context, like you will be able to go into an area and you will be able to see what the world was like all those years ago before everything went to shit. And so you can, it actually superimposes the image on top of what you're looking at, and you can see like a torn down building, and then you look through your focus and you can see what the building looked like in its prime. This is only in certain locations though. You can't do this throughout the entire world. That would be insane. But it's nice that you can get glimpses of what the world used to look like before everything went to hell. And also you're going to get snippets of information here and there about, you know, how exactly the world got to be the way it was. You're also able to override machines, which is how you get to mount them. This is something that you unlock as you progress through the game. There are these side activities that you do which give you access to overriding more sophisticated machines. So like right now I can actually, there are these really tough machines called sawtooths that I can currently go up to them and just override them, and they will fight for me for a certain amount of time, which is cool. They're not going to follow you, but they will do their pathing that they usually do in that area, and if there's any more enemies in there, they will attack them. So for someone who uses stealth like me, I can actually use the machines against each other, because I can kind of sneak up on them, convert a machine, then make it fight the other machine, and do that kind of stuff, which is cool. Again, adding to the variety of ways in which you can tackle the challenges the game presents to you. There are also certain, there's also the whole thing where you climb the tall necks, which I guess a lot of people saw that and they instantly said, oh, look, it's just like an Assassin's Creed tower. And in a way, it kind of is. The cool thing about it is that this thing is actually moving while you're climbing it. And there's a coolness factor to it as you're climbing through the thing. And you can see that's actually walking around through the world. You're still climbing through it. And then you plunge the spear down and you hack the thing. Then you get more map information, just like Assassin's Creed and other open world games like Far Cry and stuff like that. Reveals a big portion of the map, reveals more information. But the cool thing about that one is that when you get down, it discharges like this EMP pulse that actually damages everything that is close to the long neck. So if you wait long enough and it's actually going by like a tough machine that you want to fight, you can wait for it, and then you can rappel down. It will do the pulse, and then you have a big advantage when you're hunting a specific machine. So again, just stuff that, the way the world interacts with itself is cool. I like going up the tall necks. It's never really a super complex puzzle. Usually it just involves getting to a place where you can jump onto the tall neck, and from there on, climbing all the way to the top is usually pretty easy. At least it has been for the ones that I've done. But it does involve at least the last, not the last tall neck that I did, but the one before that involved me fighting like two giant alligator-looking machines, and that actually took me a while to get to that. So it's kind of cool the way that they've put all these things together. But as I was saying, because I kind of got sidetracked there, the world is very nice to explore. It is very much so an exploration game. It does encourage you, like, you should just go out into the world and check it out, see what you like, see what you don't like, which is something that I really appreciate with that stuff. So like I said, I've been enjoying it quite a bit, whether I'm machine hunting, whether I'm exploring. The visuals and the colors in the world are very rich, and the weather as well. Like, there's weather that changes throughout the world. There's day-night cycles, all this stuff, and there is a dramatic shift and how the world changes based on the time of day, based on whether or not it's raining. I believe it can even snow if you're in snowy areas. Yeah, I think that's a thing. And it also changes like the visibility that enemies have of you and the visibility that you have of your enemies. So it's cool. And at night, whenever it's nighttime and you see the actual machines roaming around and the lights coming out of the machines and stuff, it's just this visual spectacle that is very nice, and it's very cool for you to just appreciate and explore the world. Like you guys know that I love exploring worlds, and this one has just been a joy to explore. So far, the only thing that I can do to move faster throughout the world is mount. I'm not sure if there's going to be a faster way. I hope there is, because the world is damn huge. There's obviously fast travel for places that you have visited, and it's fairly easy to do fast travel. But I generally avoid that because I like going through the world and encountering random things on my path to my next quest or my next whatever. And it's been pretty satisfying. Although I do have a couple of knocks on the exploration of the world that I have to bring up that kind of were a little bit disappointed. So the first thing is you'd kind of expect Aloy to be able to climb stuff because you see her climbing all the time. So you'd expect her to be able to just climb up on almost anything. That is not the case. The places that you can climb to in the world are very specific, and anyone who's played Uncharted 4 before will be able to recognize them instantly. You'll see a little subtle hint of yellow. Maybe there's a rope hanging out on something, and it happens to be a yellow rope. You'll instantly know, okay, I can climb that. But like sometimes you will look to a general mountain, and like it will have a ledge, and you'll be like, so if that thing had a little yellow strip, I'm 100% sure I'd be able to climb it, but since it doesn't, you're not going to let me do it. Now, you can still Skyrim your way up a couple of mountains if you try hard enough, but you do feel like there could have been more when it comes to the climbing through the world aspect of it. But yeah, there are certain locations where you're expected to climb, and you'll be able to instantly identify them whenever you get there. And then there's other locations where you're like, man, I wish I could climb through this because it seems like there's some fun stuff on the other side. And you will try to Skyrim your way up there, and sometimes you'll be able to, other times you won't. And then other times you will find some invisible walls. Yeah, like the first time I ran into an invisible wall, I was a little bit disappointed. Now, sometimes those walls are there for your protection, which I can actually get behind because sometimes it's very easy for you to, as you're running through the world, just kind of like, oh shit, I moved a little bit too much and I fell down. Now I'm dead. So they do have a couple of them that aren't necessarily blocking you from going to a location, but more so preventing you from accidentally falling to your death. And those I'm okay with. I don't have a problem with those. But then there's other times where you'll be Skyrimming your way up a mountain, like everybody likes to say nowadays. You're just like trying to jump in weird ways to get yourself up through a mountain. And you'll get to a location where the game will actually tell you, if you keep going this way, we're going to revert to your latest campfire save. So turn back, or you will just flat out run into an invisible wall. And those are a little bit frustrating, but there aren't that many. And usually you look at the map whenever you run into one of them and you're like, oh, I'm at the edge of the map. I really shouldn't be here. You're totally right. There's no gameplay off in that direction, so I should just like move around, go to another place. But it's, like I said, there are some invisible walls in there, but it's not a huge deal. And I wouldn't let that be a deterrent to you. If you're thinking about getting the game, don't let the invisible walls be a deterrent because, there's tons of stuff to explore in this open world. Beyond that, there are a couple of things that I would also like to bring up. Very much like Far Cry, you have... if you guys remember, I've played through Far Cry. Was it Far Cry 3? I think I've played through Far Cry 3 on the channel. There was that thing where it's like, oh, you hunt a couple of skins of this and a couple of skins of that, and you can upgrade how much stuff you can carry. That is also a thing in here, which is like, I don't have a big problem with that, but I wish they would let me stack more of certain materials, because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, you're full on this material. Specifically, there's this one material that really pisses me off, which is wood. You can go out and you're constantly picking up wood. There's wood everywhere in the world, but it's just you see the little icon popping up there and you're like, oh, I'm going to pick whatever that thing is. And sometimes you might think, oh, it's actually like a root for my herbal medicines or whatever, but sometimes, oh no, it's actually just a piece of wood. And you can see visually. It's just sometimes I just look at the icons and I go in there and I just pick up. You guys know how I am. I see the shiny, I need to pick it up, right? So I see the thing and I keep picking it up. And then it's like, oh, you've picked up tremendous amounts of wood. Like I'll have friggin' almost 1,500 little bits of wood, right? And I'm okay, so I have too much. I'll go to a vendor. Nobody buys wood. And I'm just like, what am I do with it? You can't even destroy it. You have to throw it onto the ground and then eventually it will despawn. At least give me an option to like destroy it or something. It's just like that is very frustrating. The other thing that is frustrating is that there's this one specific material which I would even predict they might patch this later down the line, which is wire. There's a material called wire. You get it from hunting pretty much any machine can give you wire. And I've always lacked wire for some reason. Like I have everything else I need for almost anything, unless it's a very advanced type of ammunition that I just recently got. For anything that I need, I have all of the other materials. I probably have too much of any of the other materials. I never seem to have enough wire. And then you're like, well, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to overcome that. And yeah, you can go to a merchant and you can just flat out buy wire from them. The problem is you have to buy it one at a time. One piece of wire at a time. And it like takes like 2 pieces of wire to make one bit of ammunition. So I'm like, and then you have to hold the button down to buy it too. So it's like, oh, okay, 1 wire, 2 wires. At least let me like just mass purchase wires. So, cause I have the money, like just let me mass purchase it. I'll just be like, just give me 200 wires so I don't have to worry about it for the next 3 hours or whatever. But yeah, but it's interesting that it was only this one material. It's like I have too much wood, I don't have enough wire. And it's just, there's these little details. I'm almost certain they're going to put a patch in that is going to increase the amount of wire that you get for machines, because I don't know, I've gotten into situations that I really thought like, this doesn't seem right. I kind of feel like I should have more wire than this. But other than that, it's just like inventory management, because of the limited inventory space, sometimes does feel like a chore. You're just like, you're going out through the world, you're having all this fun, just like hunting stuff here, hunting stuff there. And then you go to loot and the game's just like, oh yeah, your inventory's full. And you're like, really? Like I just finished killing this big ass machine. I'm on the friggin' dopamine rush, one of the biggest dopamine rushes I've had in the past 2 hours. And you're hassling me about inventory management? Come on, this is 2017, man. Fuck that shit. Just let me carry whatever the hell I want. I mean, I do understand that, you know, inventory management definitely needs to be a thing in this, because your ammunition is limited. Your, your upgrades are limited. All of this stuff is limited, right? So, you know, therefore there needs to be some kind of inventory management on how you craft stuff and all this other stuff. But, you know, I still kind of feel like it could have been done better. And in a way that is so that let's just say I don't want to get to a point where I get to a monster and the game's like, yeah, you can't loot that because your thing's full. And then then and there, I have to like go and sort through my inventory. Again, it's very minor things. Like overall, all of the stuff that I've complained about, I feel like all these are very minor things. So in my opinion, if you're interested in what you've seen so far of Horizon Zero Dawn, you're going to love it. It's an amazing game. I'm having the time of my life with this game. Definitely Game of the Year contender, which is like, we've had a hell of a year. Like Neo, Horizon Zero Dawn, Gravity Rush 2. Pretty soon we're going to have Nier Automata. Like, and all of this stuff in the first 3 months of the year. Like, that's insane. That's just crazy. So, you know, I just think the game is really worth it. Particularly if you are, again, these might be people that maybe think that they're not interested in Horizon Zero Dawn. So maybe if you are a Monster Hunter fan and you're really into monster hunting and you're like, oh, whatever, it's an open world game, probably not my thing. This game has a lot of stuff that scratches that Monster Hunter itch. So I would advise you to at least look at some gameplay. The gameplay embargo lifts on the 27th. I'm probably going to be live streaming some gameplay of this, showing you guys the different machines, all these different things. But yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit, and I think anyone who enjoys open world games probably going to love this. Anyone who enjoys the Monster Hunter mechanics probably going to enjoy this. And again, if you don't enjoy Monster Hunter, it doesn't mean that you're not going to like this. So, just I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it quite a bit. Thank you guys very much for watching. Comments, feedback, comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.